What's your guys' interest in everything we got going here?
What was that, Robert?
I said, what specifically are you guys looking for or interested in knowing about so we can kind of steer you in the right direction? Maybe the best thing to do is just to, I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at the video, our video or not, but that kind of explains everything we do.
I think from my perspective here, we want to talk about the emergency notification tools.
Beautiful.
And I know there's more than one of those, so that's what I want to talk about, because I actually have two customers that I want to show it to right now. So from a high level, and my background is in call centers and telephony.
Okay.
So 911 services and expediting 911 is interesting to me because I've kind of fought that battle in multi-site call centers and in the voice over IP world and emergency services not knowing where to go and those types of things. So
Gotcha.
this whole space is kind of interesting to me. So from 100,000 feet, can you talk to me a little bit about the tools? I think you have a branded name for the tools, right? And then
Correct.
and then inside that branded name, there's kind of not packages, but different tool sets that you can deploy, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
if you could give us 100,000 feet on that, and then we
Okay.
can drill in from there.
Sounds good. Jimmy,
Well,
you
we're
wanna-
ahead- yeah, you're ahead of the game because you have worked inside of dispatch, so you get it.
Yep.
Most people, I'd say 90% of society doesn't,
Mhm.
on how things really work and just how rapidly things can go south, and there's no communication coming in
Mhm.
when complaint takers get bottlenecked.
Mhm.
So quick background on me: retired law enforcement from the city of Port St. Lucie. Back in 2000, I was one of the first on scene for an active shooter incident, half mile away. We had all the ingresses covered. As I'm driving in, I'm saying, I'm getting into a gunfight. There's no doubt about it. We're getting into a gunfight. And what had happened was a fired employee came back to his workplace, came in, killed it. He had a Tech 9 automatic handgun, shot his boss and his coworker and killed him, and was on his way out. And the call's coming out in real time. So we were what we thought was real time. It wasn't. There was probably a 1.5 to 2 minute delay on the information for us, and he slipped through our net, escaped to all the way down to Miami, was able to actually flee the country to Mexico, and it took detectives 1.5 years to get him back. So worst case that we had ever had in the city until a couple of years ago, where we had a really bad incident up there with a neighborhood shooting. So, it resonated with me for years. When I left law enforcement, I got into the tech industry, opened up my first alarm company down here in South Florida, and came across some Tyco equipment, which is what we utilize. Look over here. This is now the 6th panel that I am working with now from Tyco as their product has evolved. When I saw it, it was one of those middle of the night, light goes on in the head. Wait a minute, if I take this and repurpose this along with our text, SMS, and email capabilities through alarm.com, I can bypass the initial 911 call and push information out to law enforcement in 3 seconds. Fast forward, started the process back in 2016, developed a second company, developed my first patent, and on the method itself. And here we are now, 2018, branched away from the original guys because I wanted a more law enforcement driven effort. Guys that can speak the language locally with the chiefs and the sheriffs rather than from a military standpoint. And so here we are now. Robert came into the company a couple of years ago as my backbone and my CFO and president. And currently we have about a dozen guys that are, we refer to them as law enforcement liaisons. They are freelance, retired guys who we bring in to do all of our training and to oversee all of our installations. And we subcontract everything. I was already in the installation and logistics business before, and I never wanted those headaches ever again. Also, it makes us so if somebody in another state, we can run them through our process. The process is very, very simple to follow. We do all the product management, take all the equipment in, do the programming and all the mapping and shipping and send it out to you. And when the installer gets the equipment and our law enforcement liaisons overseeing it, it's basically plug and play. Put the devices up where we tell you to put them up. Everything's already programmed. You test the system and boom, we get the install team out of there. So I wanted us to have boots on the ground with as minimal issues that can take place as possible. So that's how the company actually operates. Any questions so far?
So you are multi-state as far as your installations. You're not limited to Florida. You're
Now,
country,
so
countrywide.
we're all over the state of Florida and now in Georgia. Now we just found out this morning that a deal we're working on, we're expanding into South Carolina. But with my first company, I was in California, in San Francisco, did installs up in Washington D.C. at American University, and then also ironically was right there in Minnesota with I was there actually on a consulting gig with Mayo Clinic. I was brought in as an SME for active shooters for all 160 hospital sites that they have throughout the 11 states. So I was on that gig for a while.
Interesting. Yeah, as in a past life, I used to be the IT guy for their collections activities.
No kidding.
I know they're multi-site. Yeah, my background is in financial services, but collections. But I will say, had I known about this product back then, I probably would have talked to you guys, because the environment I was in, the collection operation did the collection for Planned Parenthood.
Oh,
And that was during a time when pipe bombs were being found. So we actually had to do security. And I was at the time responsible for information security and physical security.
Yeah.
So we were looking for training. And we had 3 call centers in a campus environment and about 600 employees. And we would have issues with emergency services getting a call. So they knew it would come from our campus, but they wouldn't know which building on the campus it came from. No idea. So that's where I actually did find a service that designated that. Again, that was like 8-10 years ago that happened. So, kind of a different thing, but I really do appreciate and am interested in the tools that you guys have and that you're offering, from that perspective, having a real world example of it. I will tell you another thing. My wife is a president and CEO of a Boys and Girls Club organization with 4 clubs, and she's actually done active shooter training stuff. So after this, I'm going to play the video for her and let her take a look at it, and maybe you'll get an installation in Minnesota.
Absolutely. And we do protect Boys and Girls Club in Lake County.
Okay.
As part of our portfolio, and at any time we can certainly get the local director.
And they have in central Minnesota here, they have 4 clubs locations, and law enforcement sits on her board of directors.
That's perfect. And we normally see that with Boys and Girls Clubs. We normally see a cop sitting on those boards, which is good.
She partners with them, and they actually share a lot with. We have a thing in St. Cloud called Cop House. So the Cop House is right with her clubs, so it's all integrated. So, like I said, I'm interested in this. I have a personal interest in it. So
you sure do.
Yep. So kind of good
not waste
stuff.
Any more time then? If you give me the opportunity for share screen, we will do that.
Oh, yep. Hold on for a second. There we go. So yeah, you have the control. So if you have a presentation or something, we can take a look at the product.
Stand by. You seen it?
Yep.
Here you go.
The Blue Line 360 ADDIES Active Threat Early Alert System is designed to increase the reaction time of those facing an attack and rapidly decrease law enforcement response time in order to save lives. Designed and managed by retired law enforcement officers and military veterans who specialize in police tactics and response, the Blue Line program puts equal emphasis on technology and training to create a comprehensive, effective solution. The ADDIES is designed to create 3 phases of balanced tactics. The alert phase is vital to warn those who are under attack that a threat is imminent and that they must take immediate action. The at-ease is activated by mobile, wireless deployable pendants. The pendants communicate utilizing 50-channel megahertz technology, which is Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and network independent, and powered by a 5-year lithium battery. A single button pendant is specifically designed for mobility and ease of use from a loss of dexterity and fine motor skills, which occurs during high-stress situations. The mobile pendants are secured in rib cases and strategically placed for trained end users in safe corners and secured employee areas. The proprietary cases are specifically designed to secure the mobile pendant and are equipped with breakaway tabs and temper sensors to prevent false alerts. When the mobile pendants are pressed, distinct siren strobes are immediately activated. The siren strobes are marked for easy identification. They serve as an instant notification to provide precious seconds to warn and prepare those who are facing an imminent attack, in addition to on-site security personnel who may have the ability to rapidly engage the threat. This alert creates tactical options for those under attack to execute a rapid evade or cover option based on their training and current location. The active threat is most efficient during the first 15 to 60 seconds of his attack, as he has the element of surprise and is rarely challenged. Creating a distraction within 15 to 20 seconds can drastically change the outcome of an attack and buy precious time for those under fire. The visual and audible distraction of the siren strobe is designed to take the threat out of predator mode and create the OODA loop effect to bring hyperfocus and efficiency, while creating time for personnel to better evade, cover, and possibly engage the threat. Our mission is to implement a proactive initiative by placing our well-marked devices at entrances and high visibility areas of the facility we protect to deter a threat from initiating an attack and empower communities with the blue line, not your mindset. Rapid response by law enforcement and on-site security is the third phase of the at-ease balanced tactical plan. When the at-ease is activated, instant text notifications are sent to the cell phones of pre-programmed recipients to include on-site end users who are facing the attack, informing them of the exact location of the system activation, on-site security, law enforcement, and personnel, local law enforcement officers on patrol and those not on their police radio, in addition to local federal agencies have to respond. Local police dispatch, bypassing the arduous initial 911 call to report an attack, which has taken upwards of 3 to 8 minutes in the past. Local trauma centers to prepare medical staff for a potential mass casualty event in real time. And key personnel, such as administrators and government officials, who require immediate notification of a crisis event. Deploy, press, activate, respond.
Blue line, active threat alert.
All of the critical information normally obtained during the 911 call and needed for effective response in just 3 seconds. Put your mind at ease and let blue line be your voice. Simplicity, reliability, empowerment. Blue Line 360.
Any questions on that?
So, yeah, so the short answer is yes. So it's a whole system of things. So I was thinking that it was more of a like a software thing and this and that, but it looks like it's a suite of products. It's a system that works in conjunction, like all together as a solution.
Yeah. So it's a standalone, and the reason I'm really big on standalone systems when it comes to active shooter mitigation, because too many things can go wrong. You know, the more you plug into networking, you understand this, the easier it can be hacked, number one. Number two, the easier you can have failures. And for us, having it standalone, having its own internal communication on a megahertz system rather than a Wi-Fi or a Bluetooth or RFID or SaaS or any of the other systems that they have out there, the megahertz is the most reliable. And the cool thing about it is we've got all of the back end knowledge, and we're looking at these devices to see exactly how they're operating. So we know battery life, signal strength, if it's been tampered with, any of those things we get notifications on. So when we pitch the concept, especially for someone like you who can understand that, we've seen that the active shooter has evolved in many different ways and has gotten a lot smarter. And we, as when it comes to law enforcement and society, have actually done a pretty poor job of stopping it since Columbine. So when I talk about that evolution, I always tell people it's only a matter of time before they learn about what Everbridge does or what any of these other systems are, and they walk to the side of the building and they cut your network line, and you're dead in the water the minute they do that. Fortunately for us, you can kill the power and the cable, and we're still operating for 48 hours. So if eventually it's going to happen. We did see it happen over in outside of the Soviet Union a few years ago. When they attacked that school, they did cut the power to it, so there was no camera feeds going in there. When they massacred all those kids, it's only a matter of time before someone does it here. They go out to the network, especially because a lot of these apps have come out, and everybody knows if people lose Wi-Fi inside their schools, they're really not going to have a phone signal. So, at any rate, that's why we prefer to be standalone. That being said, we do have the capabilities of API development to go into, maybe there's an existing system or a broader system that a company has invested in that they want to integrate with us. So through API developments, through plug outs from our panel, such as intercom systems, things of that nature, we can devise different ways to keep all of that communication in mesh without compromising the security of our panel. So in other words, we'll push information out from our panel, but we won't let anybody control the communications of the panel.
So if I'm thinking about a building, let's say I'm thinking about just a simple school building, is there a central head unit or control unit that has subunits around it, or and it's a cellular communication to the outward broader network? How does that work?
So everything works on cellular GSM pushing information out. Okay, that signal goes to near cell phone towers and then communicates through alarm.com, where information is then received, turned around, and pushed back out. That whole process takes about 3 seconds. Now, alarm.com has been the leader they're bigger than ADT when it comes to pushing automation. Their servers are secured, actually right where Robert just was, up in
Virginia,
Alexandria. And they're there and in Crystal City, and they lease their server space from DoD. So it's about the best you're going to get. And I've been pushing their products and pushing their systems since 2010, and their consistency is ridiculous. So I'll put it up against anybody. So internally, this is one of the larger main units that we have. We call them an MCU. So we have a mini keypad that's a standalone, and this is our big boy. It's got lots of range in it. Mm-hmm. There's one main central control unit inside of the school, and then it depends on the type of school that it is. We're dealing with cinder block concrete walls. We're going to put some repeaters out there, and if we had the repeat now that we have our mesh network that's communicating on the 300 and 400 megahertz level. Now we can start adding all of our devices after that.
And that's your own private network. So that's separate from the school's Wi-Fi, right?
Correct.
Absolutely.
We do not touch Wi-Fi at all. Okay. So we're 100% independent. And that's the other thing too. I mean, these kids know what wireless access points are. These kids are smart. You can get a WAP jammer. I say Radio Shack, not around anymore, but you can order it from Amazon. You can order it from Amazon for $100, and you can jam up wireless access points like it's nothing. Mm-hmm. So we try and stay away from that, but then understand that, some schools have already invested a lot of money in something. I want to kind of maybe hang on to what they have and then enhance it with what we have. And I'm all for redundancy, so I don't have a problem with that. So we'll work with them to try and get those things done. But when you look at facilities like Boys and Girls Clubs, they generally are not huge facilities. They're very easy to tackle for us. When I was doing things at the Mayo Clinic and the multi-story buildings that they have, it's a lot more difficult applications. Some of those buildings there were enormous.
Right.
But yeah, but there's, this is about as good as you're going to get commercial grade communicating non-Wi-Fi.
So you have your central control unit, and then am I understanding that there's the other units that are located strategically throughout the building, and that provides some of that, like the distraction piece of it, the sirening that we heard in the video?
So those siren strobes are placed strategically throughout the building. No matter where you are, you can hear them, and in most cases, you can see them. And of course, we want high visibility deterrence all the time. So smack dab when you're walking in the front door, you see it. And I use this analogy all the time. It's the burglar alarm sign right in front of my house, and my neighbor not having one. They go to the neighbor's house and rip it off. So it's the same thing. I've been doing this for a long time, and 33 years now in life safety protection, and I'm a firm believer in wagging the dog and creating deterrence when you're outnumbered. It's the only thing that really works sometimes. So you got to give them a moment of pause if they're considering attacking your facility.
It works well. As a high school student growing up in northern Wisconsin, our local officer had a car that was highly mirrored, had a lot of reflective lettering and stripes on it, and people used to make fun of it. But the reality is he could park it in a conspicuous location and people would slow down, because they would just
Absolutely.
the car would just light up and people would slow down. So yeah, who's the joker now, right? That type of a thing.
Yeah, so and we're not dealing typically with a tactical person who's got a whole lot of experience. They're looking for a very, very easy path. They're pretty much haven't thought past 60 seconds of their plan.
Yep.
They pretty much wing it from there. So what we really try and do with the technology, and especially with the training that we provide, is get the end user to understand that having that 10 to 15 second distraction phase for your shooter can mean all the difference in the world to create OODA loop and get them confused. And that's essential. So it's really training the end user on that particular concept, but also get that disbelief out of your mind, because it's generally what you see is they say, well, we thought it was firecrackers. Everybody always says that. I don't know if you just recently watched the 11 Minutes documentary on the Vegas shooter. If you haven't, go watch it. It's well done. But there was people who didn't believe it was gunshots for over 60 seconds. That's a long time for automatic weaponry to going off, and they're just not getting it.
Right. Yeah, it kind of ends up being one of those things where if it's out of context, people don't put together what it is, right?
Yeah. Yep. So hang on one second.
One thing I wonder about is, so we have the main unit, then we have the strategically located other units with the distraction points on them. And then is there just the remote unit with that, or is there another unit in addition to that?
So as you saw in the video, it's a rip case. So
okay, so the rip case is
the rip case is
houses the pendants.
Yeah, it houses the pendants, and it's designed. We have.
Okay. So the pendants are inside that rip case.
Correct.
Okay, I got it. All right. Okay. Yep. And those are strategically located at points throughout the building, right?
Yeah, if it's a small enough school, we'll have them in every classroom.
Okay.
If it's a large school, we can get away with, every other classroom or every third classroom, that type of thing, just so we have that redundant.
Okay. Yep. I was wondering where that pendant came from the video here, where.
Yep.
But okay, I got it.
And then we always put a tamper sensor in the areas where we may have. If we're in an office building, we've got a secured area with all employees. We're not going to put the tamper sensors in there. We don't need to worry about it. But especially in classrooms, it's very important for us to have that. That way, if this, the tab, they break the tab and then they try and open it to look inside, that instant text will go to the principal, the SRO, the dean, whoever else. So that's what that's designed for. Everything we do, we follow this, control over convenience and false alert mitigation. It's big for us, especially because these apps have been false alerting for several years, and you're getting cops running across the city is extremely dangerous. So we want to make sure that, and we've actually built in 21 false alert mitigation, either policies or actual physical things into our system. because I just don't want any false alerts coming from our system.
Right. And all right, so talk about the alerting part, not the distraction and the sirens part, but talk about a little how the alerting piece works. How does law enforcement and others understand there's something going on?
So everything we do, it has to, give me 1 second. I got a 1:30 and I'm letting everybody else know that I'm just running a tiny bit late.
Okay. And if we need to cut short, let me know that too.
I will.
mean,
I'm just letting them know.
Okay. Because at the end of the day, this will turn into, the things that we've talked about will turn into content that we'll be able
Yeah,
to chop up and send.
I can already tell you, and I can sit here and talk for an hour.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I have a brother-in-law who actually does military, police, and drug dogs in San
Really?
Antonio. He does dogs. It's called Hill Country Dog Kennel, and he does the military style dogs. He does all the dogs from all of America and different places like that.
oh,
But
okay.
he's out of San Antonio.
Nice.
So yeah, but
Well, we'll
so-
go anywhere. And we've got a guy on our team who does the same exact thing.
Yeah.
He trains bomb dogs.
Yep.
Any type of dog you can imagine. He was a canine cop for 30 years. So.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. So
He's-
our partnerships with law enforcement are exclusive, and that really is what separates us from a lot of the other companies out there. A lot of times, app companies or network companies will go into these places and provide these services for them, but it's not really connecting with law enforcement at all. It's, a lot of times it's just going through a central station, which makes it no different than a burglar alarm. And that call in, as you know, can take a backseat rapidly to a million other things.
Yep.
So, if we have a client that's interested in what we're doing and they say, yes, I want it, we pretty much stop the conversation there and go to the local agency, have a meeting with the chief or the sheriff or his designee, explain what we do, get their blessing. I need to capture their cell phone numbers. And that's what we do. We'll load their cell phone numbers into our system. It's a secured network. They don't have to worry about them being compromised, but that way that's how they receive the text notification. A lot of agencies will do everybody, who has a department phone. Some agencies will do, sergeant and above, whatever. It's whatever they want, but we've got so much redundancy built in with the notifications that the information is going to get pushed that rapidly. And then of course, we're always going to push it to 911 dispatch at the same time. And then the local trauma centers. That's a big thing for us also, is getting local trauma centers staged for a mass casualty in real time, not having them find out 20 minutes later.
We've never had an agency do anything but applaud and want to be involved. They're always at every training that we do. The last one that Jimmy did in Sandersville, I think we had 5 agencies there because they were that's who responds.
Yeah.
So it was we don't want a Uvalde situation here. Let's get you all there and let's make sure the customer, being the school, understands what your protocol is going to be and who's going to be in charge.
In our area, there's heightened sensitivity to these types of events because of the George Floyd incident.
Yep.
And the looting and things that occurred as part of that. So
Yeah.
There's heightened sensitivity in this area around those types of things. So so this is very interesting stuff to me. And I like I said, I'm already thinking about different opportunities that that we should probably that I should talk to my customers about with this.
Well, let's do this.
Just to bring you up to speed a little bit, we just got a contract with a local Catholic church here. So we have Catholic church. We just did a children's museum.
Robert?
We just did a retirement village.
Robert, I'm going to let you guys continue talking. I'm going to go jump off and start the other one.
Okay.
You guys continue talking, and then
No.
let's get an email thing going. Let's get back on and have this conversation. I have availability tomorrow if you do. And let's continue it while it's fresh and you're on the head.
Yeah, let's keep talking. James, I might reach out to you guys separately after, just as a sidebar. So
Sure.
I'll have a couple conversations, but I might have some opportunities that have interest in this.
Very good. All right, I'm
So-
going to jump off and let you guys keep talking, but
All right.
it was great meeting you. And I'm
Yeah,
looking
very good to meet you.
forward to working with you.
So, Robert, so the
Yeah.
information goes out to the various organizations and then they respond theoretically. I mean, it sounds like to me, it sounds like there's a deeper partnership between your organization and law enforcement than there would be, for some of the other solutions that are out there.
Yeah, a lot of the other solutions are, as you already know, are app-based. Other ones
Yeah.
are trying to be a little bit of everything to everybody. So they'll have access control. They'll have,
Mhm.
Cameras. They'll have intercom. They'll have, a complete system for checking people in and checking people out.
Mhm.
We focus specifically on
Right.
active shooter situations. And that's why, as Jimmy already laid it out, it's completely separate from all those other things, but we can plug into an intercom system if that's what somebody wants to do, or we can interface. But like he said, we're not taking information into our MCU panel or from any other software or so forth. It just keeps everything clean, simple, easy for a teacher or an administrator to understand.
Mhm.
In Claremont, we actually are covering the City Hall, their Arts and Recreation Building, the Chamber of Commerce, the Boys and Girls Club there. We've done synagogues, churches, trying to think what else. Like I said, the Children's Museum we just installed last week, retirement villages, we've got 2 or 3 of those. Again, we got a situation where somebody's maybe not quite all there, or something happens and they want their loved ones to know about it as soon as possible. We can even put their phone numbers in the system.
So if somebody has one of these systems, is there a way to perform like an annual, like a test of it do you guys do some disaster recovery type testing, or how do you?
We automatically do training every year. We have our training lasts about 45 minutes, depending upon how many questions are asked and so forth. We actually have it videotaped, so it's recorded. So we leave them with what we call an ACE card, which is a card with a QR code on it. So when they have a teacher that comes in that's brand new, or they got a substitute teacher today, they sit them down, they watch it for 30 minutes and they're up to speed on how to use the system. But we do go in, our system is telling us every day, we monitor it every day. So we do have an annual maintenance fee, if you will, where we're watching it 24, we get notifications 24/7. If it switches signal, if it switches band from this to this, from one band to another, it gives us a notification. If a battery is low,
Let's say if the batteries have an issue.
yeah, well, I mean, our batteries are 5 years. We automatically go in after 3 and change them all out. We've only had 2 service calls, and one of them was because a kid in high school jumped up and grabbed the top of the alarm and pulled it down, the siren. So he pulled it off the wall. We have had 2 situations where it was a live response. We have a mega church again in Claremont. They've 4,000 people on a weekend, kind of a church. But they also have a K through 12. They had a situation where a kid had made some kind of comment to another kid about doing some harm so they kicked him out of the Bible study class. He showed up one night with a backpack on. The youth pastor got concerned, tried to call 911 actually. Didn't answer. He got nervous, pulled the pendant out, pressed it, and the police were there in, I think it was 44 seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's
and the other tests that we've done, we had our first school install was in Lakeland, was at a school, and we ran the initial test and they were there in 33 seconds. Funny thing about it, They got there and they couldn't get in because the door was locked and the school had changed the access 2 weeks before.
Huh.
So it was a perfect example of you got to work with law enforcement. You got to have these people on board, and actually kind of pushed us to develop a product which is have a lock boxes for fire alarms and so forth. Well, we created the same thing for schools and municipalities and so forth, to where that we put a box, we put their either their code, their card to get in, or an actual key inside that box. Again, it's got a tamper sensor on it, so forth, and the code is a code that they use every day.
Right.
So they can go in, they set the code as 10. It's a 1020. So they go in and put 1020. They can access any of the buildings that have that. Actually, we're installing it in all of the schools in Beaufort, South Carolina, the county up there in the next couple of weeks. They got 30, I think it was 32 schools or 34 schools that they're going to be putting those blue boxes in.
Well, a couple of things. One is it might warrant us having another conversation here, because I think there's some good tech or some good content here that we might want to explore again. So we should plan on that. We'll reach out to you with that. If somebody is interested in learning more, what would you recommend they do? Is there either a website or a number they should call? How could someone, if they see this, learn more about the products and tools?
Blueline360.com has all the videos. So we have a video directed for churches. We've got a video for schools. We've got just the general video you just saw. We have our training video on there.
Okay.
So that'd be great. They can also contact me or Jimmy anytime.
Right.
We're always
I'll probably reach out to you guys on a couple of specific thoughts I have with potential customers and those types of things. So,
and then the other thing that we do is if they look at the video or they talk to you and they get interested, we just hold a Zoom call, just like, it's the equivalent of being there, really. I mean, you got somebody, you got all the information and everything. You can answer their questions and so forth without even having a physical one-on-one visit to cut to the chase, so to speak.
Interesting. I have a relative of mine actually used to own a law enforcement supply store, and he would sell. Well, he sold it to Gauls actually, but still involved in it. I wonder if this is something I should show that guy, because just exposure to this might be an interesting avenue. So lots of good stuff.
Very interesting. Well, you get it. So you're gonna get off this call and you're gonna be circling, circling. So no, very good. Like I said, I think that we'll be in touch. We'll do another session maybe and get some more content here. But I probably have 2 or 3 different opportunities that I'll ping you offline for. So very good. Very good, Robert. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Good to meet you. And like I said, we'll be in touch and hopefully we can do this again and get a little bit more content for us. Absolutely.
So this goes up on our YouTube channel, so you can grab it or we can send you a copy, whichever you like. So if there's anything off of this that you'd like to mine, you can do that as well.
Beautiful. All right. Well,
very good.
You guys be well and stay warm.
Yeah. Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.